Welcome to the IELTS Success Summit YouTube channel. My name is Jeff, and I'm here to tell you everything you need to know about the IELTS exam. And in this video, I'm going to simply introduce you to exactly what the IELTS exam is and why you need it to get into the university of your choice, to get the job that you've always dreamed of, or to even immigrate to an English-speaking country. So let's get started right off the bat, and let's discover what the IELTS exam is and how it can help you achieve your goals. The IELTS exam, IELTS, stands for International English Language Testing System, and this is a test that's accepted in every English-speaking country, at most universities, at over 1,400 different institutions and universities worldwide. It's the most widely accepted English language test. So when it comes to getting into university, this is probably the best test to choose to accomplish that goal. And it's used for your study, your work, and immigration. And the official organizations behind the IELTS exam are the British Council, IDP, and Cambridge. And I've provided links in the comments to this video so that you can go to these sites and discover everything you need to know about how to take the IELTS exam and the score you need for the different purpose for which you're taking it. What is being tested on the IELTS exam? The IELTS exam, more than anything else, is simply a test of your ability to communicate in English. It's one of the most widely accepted tests because it reflects everyday situations from all backgrounds. So no matter where you find yourself today, no matter what your background, it's the fairest English test because it takes into consideration your background, your cultural context, and the country that you're going to. So whether it's a country like Australia or Canada, the United States or the UK, regardless of the country you're going to, and regardless of the country you're coming from, the IELTS exam takes this all into consideration. And that's why it's so widely accepted and recognized as one of the fairest tests when it comes to your English language ability. And just to be clear, it's not a test of your intelligence. Your ability in English is not a test of your intelligence. It's a test of your ability to communicate in English. No prior knowledge of topics or academic subjects is required. It's an English language test. And the topics that are common to IELTS are everyday topics that have to do with your family, your work, your studies, climate, the environment, nutrition, social media. Anything that is a part of your daily life is what's tested and used to test your English on the IELTS exam. So no prior knowledge, no academic background, specific academic background is required. It's simply a test of your ability to communicate in English. One of the questions I get asked often is, what band score do I need? Well, this depends on where you want to go when it comes to the English-speaking country or the university that you want to attend. So as well as researching everything you need to know about the IELTS exam, make sure that you take the time to know exactly what score you need, depending on the university you want to go to. If you are applying for a new job or career in an English-speaking country with a multinational company, make sure that you understand exactly what score you need on the IELTS exam. I'll give you an example from my perspective. I live in Canada. I'm familiar with a lot of the requirements that Canadian universities ask for. And if you're planning on taking an undergraduate degree in a Canadian university, it's most likely that you'll need an overall score of 6.5. And when you research the university, you'll probably discover that they also ask for a minimum of a 6 in each category. The IELTS exam tests your writing, speaking, reading, and listening. And if you look at the diagram in the chart, you'll see that the top one has an overall band score of 6.5. But unfortunately, in speaking, it's only 5.5. So while the overall band score may be high enough, if the score that this candidate received would not be eligible for university because they only scored a 5.5 in speaking, where the minimum requirement is 6 in each one. The other diagram shows an overall band score of 8. And so what happens is they take the scores from each section and average them out to get your overall band score. But be aware, and again, it's just a matter of being very clear with the university you plan to attend or the company that's planning to hire you. Make sure that you know exactly what you need. This is a very important step, just as important as taking the IELTS exam itself. So make sure that you know and you plan carefully and understand what band score you need for the situation that you are going into. The test format is fairly simple. It tests 4 areas of your English ability: your writing, your reading, your listening, or speaking. So what I'm going to do is just share with you what is required for each section of the IELTS exam. One thing I do want to mention, as well as learning exactly what you need to know about the IELTS exam, there's no replacing having a high enough level of English. If you want to know more about the IELTS exam and even more details and even tips and instructions for every part of the IELTS exam, make sure you subscribe to this channel, because I provide information and instruction, tips and strategies for every section of your IELTS preparation. And I'm sure that you'll find them very helpful as you prepare for the IELTS exam. The test format itself has a total exam time of about 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it doesn't matter what IELTS format you take. There are 2 formats available. One is paper-based and one is computer-based. And for various reasons, and you can find these in another video that you'll find on my YouTube channel that compares these 2 formats. I recommend the paper-based because I feel that there's more ways that you can use helpful strategies to get a higher score. But whatever format you take, you do have to go to an official IELTS test center. And the links that I've provided in the comments with the official websites will give you all the information and even tell you the test centers that are in your area, no matter where you are in the world, and you can find a test center near you. So whether it's paper-based or computer-based, you still have to attend a test center to complete your test. The writing section consists of 2 tasks. I'm going to go into detail, so stick with me through the rest of this video to find out the details about each section. The writing section is 60 minutes, and you have to write 2 essays, an opinion essay of 250 words and another essay of 150 words where you describe and summarize a chart, a graph, or a diagram. The listening section is 30 minutes where you'll answer 40 questions as you listen to 4 different recordings. The reading section is a total of 60 minutes where you'll read from 3 different passages taken from a magazine, an actual book or article, and you'll have 60 minutes to answer 40 questions. And then the speaking section, which is done face-to-face with an examiner, is anywhere from 11 to 14 minutes, and you'll have a 3-part conversation. And the topic of the speaking test is your personal life and your personal experience and opinion. So on test day, you can expect to spend at least 2.5 hours on test day writing the exam, and then another 15 minutes either on the same day or with a separate appointment on a different day. You'll have a face-to-face conversation with an examiner. So let's talk about the writing section. In task 1, you're given a graph, a table, a chart, or a diagram. And you're asked to summarize and explain the information in your own words. And you may be asked to describe and explain some data, describe the stages of a process, how something works, or describe an object or event. The important thing to realize is, again, you don't have to have any prior knowledge of the topic. You just have to have the ability to use your English to describe and summarize and compare the data that you see in front of you. The second task in the writing section is where you'll be required to write an essay about a general topic. And again, these are everyday common topics to your everyday experience and background. This essay is approximately 250 words where you'll be asked to give your opinion and present a viewpoint or an argument according to the question you're given. And this is in a formal style, but let me just say something about the difference between formal and academic. When it comes to the IELTS exam, if you're doing the academic IELTS exam, it's not called academic because it's an academic style exam. It's because your goals are academic or professional. So if you have professional or academic goals that require this English test, then you'll want to take the academic format. If you're taking the exam for immigration, you may be able to do the general test format. But either way, the exam does not require, again, any special academic vocabulary or academic background. It's written in a formal style, but it's using the language that's common, again, to your experience and your background. The test format that I'm describing here is the academic test format. But again, if you go to those official websites that are in the comments or subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can find out instructions and tips that will help you for both types of exam. So in the writing section, you're evaluated on 4 things. Task achievement, and this means just simply answering the question you're given and having an appropriate response. In other words, you can't memorize templates or try to memorize different types of essays before you get into the test, because you have to respond to the task you're given. It's not something that you can really memorize ahead of time. Coherence and cohesion, this is your ability to present a well-structured essay. Lexical resource is just having a good grasp and a high enough level of vocabulary, and your grammar range and accuracy is your ability to use grammar correctly and the proper grammar forms. So when it comes to task achievement and coherence and cohesion, these refer to the strategy for the IELTS exam, the techniques that are required for the IELTS exam. Lexical resource and grammatical range, well, these refer to your English language ability. So a good thing to mention at this point is when it comes to your preparation for the IELTS exam, make sure that you recognize that it is a test of your English language ability. So no number of tricks or techniques about the IELTS exam are going to help you if your English language isn't at a high enough level. And again, I can provide you with information on how to make sure your English is at a high enough level just by contacting me, and that information is in the comments as well. And again, there are dozens of videos on my YouTube channel that will help you with every aspect of techniques and strategies for the IELTS exam. The listening section, usually the first section that you'll face on test day, has 4 parts to it. You'll hear a conversation between 2 people in section 1 and answer 10 questions. In section 2, you'll listen to a monologue, one person speaking, again, about an everyday social context, whether it's welcoming students to a new college or to a library or a museum. In section 3, a conversation between up to 4 people who are usually working on some kind of project or assignment together. And in section 4, another monologue. It says that it's on an academic subject, but again, it's not something that requires prior academic knowledge. It will be a common topic that you've come across, again, in your background and experience. And each of these 4 parts, 4 sections of the listening section have 10 questions each. And the way that you get your band score in the listening section is to get as many correct out of 40 as possible. There are about 10 different types of questions in the listening section, and you'll need to know the strategy and the techniques for each of these questions. And again, you can find the instructions for each of these types of questions if you subscribe to this YouTube channel. And what you're being tested on in the listening section is your ability to understand main ideas, understand the facts, the detailed information, recognize the opinions and attitudes of speakers, the purpose of the communication, and just be able to follow the development of the ideas or arguments that you hear in the conversations or monologues in the listening section. But again, I just want to really emphasize that this is a test of your English language ability and your listening ability, not something that requires prior knowledge of any kinds of topics or academic subjects. The reading section, and sometimes could seem like the most challenging section of the IELTS exam, has 3 sections in it. And each section contains a long text taken from a book, a newspaper, a magazine, or journal. But again, they're general interest tests, and they may contain diagrams or illustrations. But if they do have special or technical terms, these will be explained to you if they are very unique and very technical, and something that you definitely won't have prior knowledge of. But again, it's not a test of your academic ability. It's a test of your ability to read in English. And in the reading section, among the 40 questions that you'll face, there could be up to 12 or 13 different types of questions. And if you look at one of the playlists on my YouTube channel, you'll find that there is instructions for each one of these types of questions so that when you come to test day, you'll have no surprises. And it's very important, and that's the purpose of this video today, is for you to be aware of what is actually involved in taking the IELTS exam. In the reading section, what you'll be tested on is your ability to read for gist, in other words, to get the overall idea of a text, reading for the main ideas, and especially reading for detail. Most of the questions designed in the reading section are designed for you to identify specific details needed to answer the questions. You'll want to be able to understand inferences and implied meaning, what the writer's opinions are and the attitudes and purpose for writing the text, and just to be able to follow a writer's argument. If it seems overwhelming, don't worry. With the right preparation and practice, you can find success on the IELTS exam, and you can make progress as you practice and be fully prepared on test day. And finally, the speaking section. The speaking section has three parts. The first is an introduction and interview, and this is where the examiner simply wants to get to know you and will ask you general questions about you and your life, your home, your family, interests, work, or studies. The good thing about the IELTS speaking section is that the topic is you. And so you'll be able to speak quite naturally and confidently using the vocabulary and grammar that you're so used to using just by talking about yourself. So you are the topic. So in this case, you will have a great deal of knowledge about the topic of the speaking section. Part two is where you're asked to give a short talk. And the examiner will give you a cue card with a topic written on it, and you'll be asked to speak about this topic for 1 or 2 minutes. And then after you've finished your talk, the examiner may ask you 1 or 2 follow-up questions about your topic. And you'll be given 1 minute to prepare and to make notes and to use these notes when you're giving your talk. And in part 3, you'll be asked about your opinion about generally about the topic that you've been speaking about. In the speaking section, you'll be measured on your fluency and coherence. And fluency is simply your ability to communicate your ideas logically and in a well-structured way. And what this means is it's not the ability to speak without making mistakes, but the ability to adjust and correct yourself as you speak. Lexical resource, again, your vocabulary, your grammatical range and accuracy, and then your pronunciation. One thing about pronunciation that's important to know, pronunciation isn't about your ability to speak without your accent. It's your ability just to speak clearly and to make sure you're understood. And I want to encourage you to understand that this speaking section is the most natural part of the IELTS exam, and something that, while most students worry about the speaking section, this could be the section where you pick up the most marks for towards your overall band score. So don't worry about the speaking section. If you want complete demonstrations on the speaking section and tips and techniques, again, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you'll find some good demonstrations and everything you need to know about the speaking section. So one of the questions that I get asked, now that you know what the IELTS exam is all about, one of the questions I get asked so often is, how long does it take to prepare for the IELTS exam? Well, it does depend on your level of English. Your level of English should be at a high intermediate or advanced level. But the simple answer to how long it takes to prepare for the IELTS exam is this. It's however long it takes so that you'll feel totally confident and competent on test day. Don't book your test before you're ready. Make sure you're fully prepared for the IELTS exam. And if you want to know the best preparation strategy for the IELTS exam, make sure you check out the next video that follows this one, where I give you everything you need to know about how to be fully prepared for the IELTS exam. And I want to wish you all the best on your journey as you prepare. And I want to wish you all the luck in the world when it comes to reaching your goals, both academically and professionally.